We are going to live longer, but we're living longer but less healthier. We want to start switching that round, so we're living longer but enjoying those, our years, because we've become healthier, and we're more able to do things and enjoy life by not having the issues and even the mental health issues that are around carrying extra weight.
Hello and welcome to Sweet Liberation. Today we've got a great podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the proof being in the pudding. Really excited for today, Luke. I loved last week. What did you think?
Yeah, last week was amazing. I really thoroughly enjoyed, as you know, doing our 10 favourite cakes and recipes. It's the thing that excites us both, is getting in the kitchen, getting down and dirty with the baking product, and actually eating and the delicious result. I mean, yeah, we've been eating a cake a week, and it's been fantastic not having that sugar. Getting rid of that sugar out of the recipes has just been revolutionary.
Yeah, it is revolutionary. I've absolutely loved baking. I've loved getting back in the kitchen and putting my apron on and kind of just showing people how healthy living can still be part of just enjoyment of all of those sorts of foods that are really luxury foods they're not necessarily part of what you need all the time. And if they're treats, they're things to have over treats. But to be able to do that and just to enjoy it. And I'll tell you what, Luke, this week I went out, I did a workout, and I came back from my workout and I had a brownie as part of my post-workout meal.
Post-workout healthy brownie. Yeah, well, that's amazing. And the funny thing is, you kind of expect that when you're on camera and going live, as we did, that sometimes things that when you're on a live show, things can go wrong. You expect that, don't you? It's sort of the, children, animals, and baking. Never do those things in showbiz, but actually the output was fantastic and so edible. I think I ate a quarter of that strawberry cake. The Victoria sponge, Mary.
The Victoria sponge was amazing. Yeah,
delicious, and I loved it. So can we talk today then about, for our audience, actually what has happened over the last couple of years? In terms of what people's reaction has been to these cakes, because it's all very well us enjoying them and eating cake not every day, but every other day. How have you found it? I mean, what's people been?
Hey, Sweet Liberation viewers and listeners, we're really excited about an event that we've got coming up, the 3-day sugar-free challenge. We're really excited about it because we're going to be able to give you all the tools that you need on your sugar-free journey. So with that said, love you and leave you for now, and back to the episode.
Well, the proof is definitely in the pudding, because people are always really hesitant about making any switch away from sugar, just because if they like food, they don't want to ruin their food. I don't want to ruin my food. And I don't want to feel like it's almost like you've got this dichotomy, these two things going on that are just so in opposition to each other. They have healthy living and then yummy food. That's what goes on in people's minds. So they don't perceive that you can have a cake that isn't going to be harmful, or have a cake that's got a non-sugar in it, basically to sweeten it, that is going to be pleasurable. So they expect it to be disgusting and be meh at the best, right? So they're really knocked out. They're completely not expecting it to be so delicious. So last week, Luke, when we were doing our sugar-free bake-off, we got the brownies, we made them, and then I sent a WhatsApp message to my neighbour to say, by the way, I've just made some brownies, sent her a pen. Would you like? She was round in her slippers and a dressing gown, and she wolfed them down, and I packed some more for her to take to our family. But she loved them. I had another person in my village who's one of my best friends here. In fact, he's my best friend in the village. And I sent her a picture. She's like, I want some of those. I was like, yeah, I'll pop them. And she goes, okay, I'll come and pick them up. And she came and picked them up actually a couple of days after I'd made them. So I wasn't sure if they were going to be just as nice. I'd packed them all, airtight container. She picked them up. She said, I'm having them with the football tonight.
Yeah.
Anyway, she sent me a message. She goes, "Oh my God, they're delicious." And so she wasn't expecting it again for them to be that delicious. And she's like, "We need to share the recipe." Like, of course, you can have the recipe. And then I had them with my post workout, and it was nearly a week later that I had did my workout yesterday, and there was a little egg type container with some brownies in it. So I thought, I'll just finish them off. And it feels weird to sit down, have brownies for your post-workout. Anyway, I ate them and they were actually better on day 6 than they were when we first got them out of the oven.
Why? What was the reason?
She said that. She was like, they were better 2 days. They're getting better and better. They were delicious on day 1. But I don't know if it's a bit like a curry where they kind of marinates all the flavors.
I think the thing is the word has got out in your village, because the problem is that I was accosted actually in the supermarket because I had a dozen eggs under my arm and some baking products. And I bumped into somebody, in the village and her daughter, and they said, "Hang on a minute, you're making cakes. If I don't, I'm going to be round on Thursday to eat those." And I said, "Oh, it's brownies." And they said, "Whoa." So they knew so they were, so that was amazing as well. So the word has got out that how tasty they are. But again, that, what happened to that fete? The charity fete?
Oh, yeah. So the charity fete, we were raising money for a business in the area that had a fire. So it was a charity sort of baking thing. I bought cakes and everybody bought cakes, and my cakes sold out before everybody else.
Well, the reason they sold out,
delicious.
We had to actually stop some of the people coming back and buying all those cupcakes, because you were selling them, and as quickly as you were selling them, the same people were saying, "I better have another one of those just to make sure. Are you sure there's no sugar in those cakes?" Yeah, so that was the social proof we wanted, wasn't it, as well?
Right.
How they just shot off. So all of the standard sugary cakes that people didn't want sat there, although they looked yummy. Everybody just kept coming back and buying the cakes that you'd made without the sugar.
Absolutely.
And the yuck factor. That's
the thing. And people are always a bit hesitant when they first go try it because they think they're going to be disappointed. Like you are with so many health foods, right? And then because it's always like the not so tasty cousin of the real thing, right? So you go and taste it, you go, it's not going to be as good. And then you taste and you go, oh my God, that's even better. Sometimes they've said it's even better. And they could never even tell they had no sugar in it. So that's the thing. So really, we want to talk about that and people's excitement around this. The momentum is growing. People are excited by the idea. We've had a viral cupcake video that's just going around the internet at the moment. It's super exciting. And what is it that you kind of want to tell people about this? What's driving you to keep going with this project and this passion project?
Oh, the most important thing for me, as you know, for me in the past, when I was a child, I had a lot of dental work done, and it was because of sugar. Everybody in the 70s had open access. The sugar bowl was on the table. And we just put sugar on everything. We just thought, oh, well, it's great for energy. We were told we needed to have loads of sugar, put it all over, cover our cereal, our cornflakes, our shredded wheat, our Weetabix. I mean, mine had a crust on them and of sugar. And I probably consumed, I don't know, maybe 8 teaspoons of sugar with 5 Weetabix. And that was just my standard morning breakfast. And then, mixing the sugar into the milk and then drinking it from the bowl. I actually used to have my cereal in a mixing bowl. I mean, I had that much cereal with a pint of milk. But then that was the child as I was growing up. But yeah, that and sweets meant that and then my mother became type 1 diabetic when I was a child and has been injecting insulin. And that was really then, and knowing how many more people now are, are type 2 diabetic. And again, a lot of this can be, we can help with a lot of that. And that's why, that's where my passion came from. I want to, it might be, some of the people in my age group, they sort of say, oh, well, we don't eat sugar, but yes, we do eat cake. Well, yeah. So you're still eating sugar. But, what I want to do is I want to see young people start looking at this as a healthy alternative, incorporating it into the lifestyle. It's so easy. And the, I can't believe it's not sugar statement comes from almost everybody I see. And it makes it is a treat. A cake, eating cake every day, we don't advocate that, but we do say, making a lovely sponge and having that at tea time with family or friends is a brilliant way to start. And we can help people with that. And that's where the recipe ideas come about. So yeah, so that's my passion. I want to get it into all the schools in the UK, all the hospitals. Even if half of the sugar was taken out of the schools and the hospitals, that's going to make a massive impact. And my mother, as you know, she's in hospital at the moment and can't eat really any of the food. Every item of food on the menu is packed with sugar.
Unbelievable. It's a big, it's a huge mountain to climb. It's a sugar mountain to climb. And to me, the passion is I love great cooking. I want to show people just how easy it is to make a switch, to make a start, and to see results. That's the thing that's amazing, is when you start to see results. And, I've actually, in my healthcare work in the past, sort of supported people just through providing education and support to see their blood sugars, type 2 diabetics, gestational diabetes, helping them stabilize their blood sugars just with really basic nutritional support around just kind of going through like, what are you having for breakfast? Right, let's just make a couple of small switches. And this is exactly the same thing. It's just making this small switch and then seeing how that affects you. And you just think, wow, I feel so much better. I've got so much energy. And then if you go back and eat the sugary food, first of all, it makes you feel a bit sick. It's a bit too sweet. The first thing I notice if I eat something with sugar now that is just too sweet, it makes me feel really exhausted and tired. Within about an hour of eating it, I get a carb coma. I want to just pass out and snooze on the sofa. And so, yeah, it's kind of disappointing where there isn't any downside to eating our, switch, our sugar replacement. So let's talk about that, because you're also passionate about telling people the origin story, and aren't you, Luke?
Yeah, I am. And because I think that the thing about it, that one of the things, I will admit that this is a bit of a bugbear for me, is this fact that, as a product, if you like, or a sugar replacement that was discovered 170 years ago in Scotland, we've kept it, the food industry has kept it secret. Why? It's because it's healthy and it's not addictive. Where, of course, the food company's agenda is completely the opposite to our agenda. That is, let's make food, in effect, not all that healthy and addictive, so that you're buying more and more and more. And we can see, it's not just us saying that. We know that obesity numbers are increasing. Everybody knows that waistlines on everybody has been going up and up and up. And it is because of that addictive quality around sugar and the fact that sugar is toxic. So if you introduce sugar now, I know it was introduced hundreds of years ago to the UK, but if you introduced it now, it wouldn't be a product that would be allowed, because it, as you've often said, it's many, many times more addictive than crack cocaine. It hits that center of the brain that makes you want to go back for more. Whereas, with erythritol that was discovered by John Stenhouse in Scotland from the extraction from blackstrap molasses, but it's found in grapes, pears, and you can then, sweet corn, any of these products, you can extract it. You then make the fermentation. It was discovered 170 years ago, but, that's the bit that I want to blow the lid on. That's the bit that for me is passionate to say, this has been around 170 years. Countries like Japan have been using it for decades. And it's a very, it is proven through the systematic review that's been done with all of the papers that have been read in terms of how good it is, how it doesn't spike your blood sugar, how the calories are zero because it's not recognized. It passes straight through you, and all it's doing is playing a very simple trick on your tongue that makes you think what you're eating is sweet. But why you don't go back for more is it's not saying to your brain, oh, go and eat more food, and your blood sugar levels are saying same. So you're not getting hungry, you're not snacking. And over time, as you and I have found over the last few years of actually using Zukr, we have actually found that we've just accidentally dropped, the unwanted fat from our bodies, because we've made that simple switch with it being painless. That's the key. Yeah. It's a painless switch that you don't have to do forever. So people say to us sometimes, and it is a bit of a blocker for some people, oh, it's more expensive than sugar. But if it's good for you, as opposed to bad for you, the cost is way less.
Yes, so this is something that I like to talk about as well, for sure, Luke. I 100% agree with everything you've said. I mean, and I think if we understand what's happened in food, highly processed food industries across the world, I'm not talking about, local farmers growing food for their local populations, even farmers growing food for international populations. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about agriculture, that is sustainable. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is things that are really on their own, really associate them as food. These are byproducts that are normally thrown away, that are then brought back and made into something which is hyper palatable, such as, I'll give the story of Pringles, essentially, made with sort of starchy bits of leftover from other foods that they can't use. They're like, oh, we're going to do this. All right, let's shove it together. Let's put salt, fat, and a tiny bit of sugar in there to make it hyper palatable, and then arrive at that bliss point so that we can't stop. And that's their tagline. Once you pop, you can't stop. This is, if you found, the starches that they make the Pringles, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, I'll have a spoon of that, because it's just some powdery gunk that then they shove together and then fry it. It's just, there's nothing that resembles real food in what you're eating. So again, it's I would say it's a sensory experience. It's not a nutritional experience, right? Sometimes we want a sensory experience. Sometimes we just want something crunchy and, with a lot of flavor, and fine. But understand the difference between having that as food, like what is it you need to sustain yourself for the day, versus a sensory experience. So that's the first thing. So these are things that aren't food. So when people talk to us about food, your product is more expensive, I actually think if you start to look at the food industries, we're finding that it's not that our product is too expensive. It's actually that sugar is too cheap. Why is sugar so cheap? First of all, it is a crop that is highly intensively grown, whether it's cane or whether it's sugar beet. It has a catastrophic effect on the land and the soil depletion, as we found out with sugar beet in the UK. It takes over land that could be used for other types of nutritious crops, such as vegetables, or even, even grazing animals that we're going to eat, and naturally grazing animals. So all of these things, the land is taken up with this crop that is really something that doesn't have any positive nutritional value. It has a nutritional value because it has calories, but it's had nothing which is necessary for the body to have. It doesn't have micronutrients in it. It has no vitamins. It has nothing in it other than a pleasurable sweet sensation. But if we put this food that is this crop, which is now grown everywhere across the world, into foods, we know that people will not be able to stop. So this is the point that I'd like to make, is that it's not that our product is so expensive. Yes, it's more expensive than sugar. We're not going to apologize for that. It's a premium organic product. It's the best sugar replacement in the world, hands down. That isn't the point, because people pay for stuff that they love. That isn't the point. The point is that foods that are not really nutritious with a positive nutritional value in there are filled out with this food group, this thing, sugar, this sweet product, in order to make us addicted so that we can't stop having it. Yeah. So when you think about it like that, you go, well, this is essentially the crack cocaine of food, giving it to everybody, including our babies, so that we can't stop eating it.
Yeah.
And we're going to addict people to these foods that have no real nutritional benefit to them. They're going to make themselves ill with this food. And then within the same probably board of directors and shareholders that now have the pharmaceutical industry on the other side, we're going to give them we're going to give them treatment for the diseases that we caused with the food. It's dark. So I'd say to people, look, we understand our product's more expensive, but actually you're going to need less of our product. You need less, because we don't want you to get hooked to our product. We're not in the game of addicting people.
No.
That's the key here. We're not in the game of addicting people. We'd be delighted if someone said to us, we use your product for 6 months and then I never needed anything sweet. You and I would like be high-fiving each other. We'd hug the person. We'd go, that is amazing. What a result. We wouldn't be going, oh, they're not buying our product anymore. We'd be so happy that we managed to get somebody off sugar. We'd be delighted, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And we've said that as well as it being a stepping stone, haven't we? So the people that have got a sweet tooth, they can use our product. You buy Zukr, make cakes, and then eventually, we love cakes, but we are eating, less of those cakes. So and we don't bake them every week, but there's a real treat when we do bake them. But because you don't have that yearning for cake all the time. And the other thing that's absolutely key psychologically is that when you can have it, you don't necessarily need it as much. You're not having that, I'm being deprived situation. You're like, I can make a cake at any time. It's got no sugar in it. I can eat a cake every week if I want. But of course, we don't do it as often.
I feel like we don't do it as often, and we wait for an occasion. It becomes a celebratory event. And the thing that was really interesting about last week is that I wanted to share it. We both, my impulse was let people know so that we can share a slice. It wasn't about me keeping it all to myself and having it all for me. So everybody had little tubs of cake that we distributed around the place. And it was a sharing community event, essentially. Yep. So that for me is the key, is that if you shift from needing this thing, which a need means that, it's a kind of, there's an addiction there. You go from going, but wouldn't it be lovely to make a cake and share it with people? But you don't have to do it, and it's also, you can take it or leave it. Like I could, the cake sat in the kitchen in the fridge. I put it the Victoria sponge sat in the fridge for a couple of days. I was distributing it out to people. I had one slice, and I might have had 2 in total. That was it, and I was good. I didn't need to have more.
Yeah. No, well, I enjoyed it. I had 2 slices when we were doing the bake-off, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What I actually really liked about the sponge was the fact that it had actually quite a nice crust to the outside. The way the cake had come out was brilliant. The sponge was beautiful and light and moist, but it had that crust on the outside. So it was a very, very Moorish cake, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But no, it was fantastic. And I also enjoyed the day when we went out and visited the emergency services, the hospital and the air ambulance guys. And they thoroughly loved the sugar-free cakes. And we left some of a pouch of Zukr for them for their tea or coffee. But you know what it's like in the hospitals and things. It's sort of, snacks on the go because everybody's rushing around. So, the little cupcakes are a brilliant, grab and go type thing. And that's why probably they're our most popular. And of course, people can get that free recipe, can't they? Yes.
Absolutely. If they go to sweetliberation.co.uk, they can subscribe to our newsletter and they can get the recipe. And yes, so, I mean, it's amazing. We've got so many people on the newsletter now, nearly, I think about 2,000 people on our newsletter nearly now. And it's so exciting because, again, we're just kind of able to give people some really great value every week. It's a supercharged newsletter with recipes, with ideas, with feature articles, and we're really getting a buzz around that as well. So it's kind of we've come out of the idea that we're here to sell a product that people are going to be addicted to. We've never been in that business, have we, Luke? No. We're not in that business.
And the other thing that's good about anybody that subscribes to the newsletter as well is that they'll get information about when our next bake-offs are. Because the thing about this isn't just, we've talked about, we've found the key, the key to actually going sugar-free and this product that's been around such a long time. But we also know that, and we have said, but if somebody buys it from us, but it sits in their cupboard and they don't get around to baking, that's not really much use. You've got to be using the product and actually getting the benefit. And so this help and support we get and actually doing the baking and the baking classes and the bake-offs and encouraging people to get cooking and actually see what the product's like.
Yeah.
Themselves is great, because a lot of people say, I don't have, the granulated sugar in my tea and coffee, so therefore there isn't the direct swap out. However, if you like cookies, cakes, biscuits, tiramisu, any of these sorts of puddings as well, and or jellies, any of these things that you can actually, swap sugar out and actually try it. I think that's where it becomes a community then, and that's when we're all moving in the same direction, and creating that movement.
Exactly. And sharing those successes with each other is such an important thing, having that accountability, having that support, and just knowing that you're not on your own. And as I think you detox from sugar, you start to, I think your thinking becomes clearer as well. I feel sharper. I feel, that those sort of highs and lows during the day certainly affect your cognition. I think they affect your ability to just function, don't they? Especially when you get kind of sugar crashes. After lunch, I find is the worst time because you've just eaten all this food and you're like, how on earth am I going to finish my working day? So,
that's brain fog. I was going to say that brain fog is bad, and we know that in first-hand actual numbers, numeric terms, because with my mother being type 1 diabetic, she's got a device that she can read her blood sugar level, and her cognitive function, when her blood sugar level reads over 20, cognitively, she's not really able to answer the questions that, basic things. I know she's over 80, but, when her blood sugar level is lower and it's around, the normal levels of, sort of 6 to 12 or whatever the normal level is, around that sweet spot where in the range that she should be in, she's bright, absolutely on it. And then as soon as her, she has something a bit sweet, white bread is and potato is her Achilles heel as far as carbohydrate is concerned. She has 2 or 3, mouthfuls of white potato or, bread and butter, and then her sugar level is right up high. And then, you see that brain fog creeping in. So you can actually physically see it there with the numbers and the cognitive function. So yeah, it's really, really important that people understand that there are these downsides, and this, feeling sleepy after lunch, after a sandwich, we all do, or even people driving. If you're, you pull in and you go to the petrol station once you filled up your car or your lorry, and you're then driving in the afternoon, there is that risk of feeling sleepy after you've bought something that's got a high GI or a lot of carbohydrate in it, be it a bread sandwich or whatever it might be, and helping people finding those alternatives and making what I would call smart decisions over snacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can help with. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, for me, the thing that is it's the sharing out of moments, special moments that I think, a lot of kind of people in the nutrition space have classically sort of taken an almost, I wouldn't say punitive approach, but almost looking down on people that attach themselves, have an emotional attachment to food and situations, as if, you're lesser than for doing that. And I understand how important it is to have moments and family moments together. So, those special, now we're so busy, we are rushing around, we're working, everyone's working full time. We've barely got any time to spend with our families to cook in the evening. So if you have that one, maybe Sunday roast or something once a week, and you want to have a pudding and that kind of thing, it's bringing that family together, and that oxytocin release of that community and that feeling of bonding is so important for me. And I think that has to be part of a healthy lifestyle. And so why not share these amazing recipes that we have to be able to help people achieve that bonding, that happiness, all a flood of happy hormones that makes life worth living, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's and I say we've said it already, I know, but I mean, it's lovely when people keep coming back for more cake. Yeah. And that is the proof in the pudding for me. You say, I'll just have another piece of that cake. And you've done it with birthday cakes where we've had all of the parents coming to collect their children, and they sit down, start eating cake, and that's it's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah,
exactly. It's been amazing. So I don't know if you want to close with any sort of closing words, Luke. Anything you wanted to leave people with? Any encouraging words?
Well, I think that the thing that I wanted to, literally, say is that, there is this, we do believe that we found this gem that nobody knows about that is Zukr, and that is why we've embraced this and want to tell everybody about it. We've spoken today about the fact that there is no yuck factor. We're not a disgusting sweetener. Although we're plant-based, we are not anything like stevia. And we're not a chemical that is artificially manufactured in a sort of a lab like your saccharins, and so there are no downsides to Zukr. We want people to get involved with baking and give it a go, because the thing is, yes, people might have said to you, oh no, you're trying this again, so you've got a little bit of, oh, is this just another thing that is, I've tried before and failed. We can help with that and get people motivated and baking, get the family involved, get cooking, try it, and start enjoying life, and think of this, as we've said, as a stepping stone to reducing the amount of sugar you're having. It will, it is a healthier, option, and it's a way to get the family, off sugar. And that is going to be beneficial from your children's education, your children's teeth, and diabetes, type 2 diabetes that we're seeing in children. That's my side of things. I want to get the kids healthy so that it's a generational thing. And we're leaving a legacy for parents to leave to their children so that they're actually making massive changes to overall health that then makes a difference to longevity. So people are going to, we are going to live longer, but we're living longer but less healthier. We want to start switching that round. So we're living longer but enjoying those, our years, because we've become healthier, and we're more able to do things and enjoy life by not, having the issues and even the mental health issues that are around, carrying extra weight. As well, and self-image and things like that. So that's where we're passionate and want to help people. So that's my leaving thoughts.
Oh, fantastic. I couldn't agree more with that. And just to kind of say that we are both also on a, we understand the importance of, movement, good nutrition, removing sugar, all of these as a kind of a 360 approach, and the importance of community support, all of that. To having that backup system, because just going out and buying one product on its own and then just expecting that to be the magic formula to everything, but everything else in your life isn't being sorted, is, it's just, that's why so many people have supplements in their cupboard that they haven't taken. They have healthy foods that are just gone out of date in the back. Everybody's got a cupboard like that somewhere in their house where they are not really... they thought about something that looked good and it was a one-off, and then they didn't do anything about it. We're not in the business of addicting people to foods unethically. We're not in the business of addicting anyone. And we're not in the business of fly by night situation, buy our thing and then disappear, and then it's not going to, we are in the business of solutions and transformations. That's what we're in the business of. And we're fully committed to making that happen for every single person that comes into our ecosystem. That's why we say definitely subscribe to our newsletter, sweetliberation.co.uk. It will take you through to subscribe to our newsletter, which is called The Sweet Revolution. And we are growing in numbers, and it is really becoming a thriving community of people committed to quitting sugar and having an amazing, happy life that's basically limitless.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key here. So with that said, we'll love you and leave you, and really looking forward to the next few episodes. We've got some amazing guests coming up, guest speakers, and it's been such an honor over the last year or so doing this amazing show. It's going across the world. We are ranking in different countries across the world nearly every week. So it's super exciting to be able to serve communities internationally as we're doing. What an honor to be able to be part of people's success stories in their lives.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, with that said, we'll love you and leave you, and we will see you on the next episode of Sweet Liberation. Bye
Thanks
for now.
for joining. Bye for now.
Bye for now.